everyone. Nice to see you all. So, this training this month is to do with enrichment, and it's actually taken directly from the Horseplay at Home online course. So, in the course, we go into a lot of detail on enrichment. It's a really important part of horse welfare. This is just a little snapshot. Okay, so a little bit about enrichment. Enrichment is a crucial component in equine care. It enhances the overall well-being and mental health of horses. Now, this goes beyond physical stimulation. So yes, horses need friends forage freedom, but that's your bare minimum. It needs to go much further than that. So when we look at appropriate enrichment for our horses, this plays a role in developing horses' cognitive abilities, their abilities to think, leading to improved problem-solving skills, reduced reactive behaviours, reduced stress. It makes them quicker to learn, it makes them stronger, it makes them smarter. So it's not about keeping your horse busy. It's about nurturing their minds and allowing them to engage in their environment more fully and meeting those needs that they may not otherwise get the chance to in a domestic setting.
All right, let's have a look at the kind of enrichment ideas that you might want to try with your horse. The one way to split these up is into physical, mental, social, and environmental. You can split them up in all kinds of ways, but if we do it this way, then we're not just thinking about food, we're thinking about the horse as a whole and all of his needs. So physical, these are things that affect the way he moves. So things like poles on the ground or branches on the ground where he has to lift his legs over. Different surfaces will have an impact on his hooves. High forage toys or low feeding areas where they've got to stretch up or reach down, and hills and different surfaces. You can create a hill by piling loads of soil together and letting it grow over, obviously depending on how much control you have over where your horse lives. But there's lots of different things you can do to get him to move in different ways. Mental stimulation. So these are the things that are really going to challenge him to think. Things like forage boxes, which I'll have a little look in more detail in a minute. Things on strings, so vegetables threaded on strings and just hung up, and horses can eat them. Snuffle mats, so these you often find in pet shops for dogs, but you can make them yourselves as well. There's lots of little bits of fluffy material sticking up, and you hide bits of food in amongst them, and they use their lips and whiskers to move it around and take out the food. Scent trails. Scent trails are amazing. There's lots of work that's been done on scent in the last couple of years and the benefits of scent trailing for horses. Again, this is something we'll look at a little later on as well. And then scent or food in log holes. So if you've got logs or if you've got tree stumps, you can actually put little holes in and put food in there, and then they'll have to use their lips and their tongue to get the food out. So things that really challenge their brain. Social options. So these are things that horses can do together. Now, you might have a horse that will not do these things together, but having more social opportunities and setting them up in safe ways will help build that social play a little bit more. So things like forage balls, although I would have multiple forage balls rather than all going for one. Branches are brilliant for social interaction because you can have lots of big branches and they all pull at it different ways. Treasure hunts are great, again, spreading that whatever you're using for treasure hunt, whether it's hay cubes or bits of vegetables, whatever it might be, spreading them on a really wide area so that no horses are being pushed away from others. Forage nets, so filling nets with nettles or seaweed or any other grasses that you might have around, mixing it in with your hay. They're quite nice for horses to share. And water buffets. So this is in addition to your fresh water. So you always have your plain fresh water, but you might have a couple of buckets that have got water and something else, like maybe turmeric, or one might be salt water, or one might have bentonite clay in it. There's lots of different possibilities for what you might put in that water. Sometimes they might have bicarbonate of soda in as well. So there's loads of different possibilities there. Water is drinking is a social behaviour, so you always want to provide enough water for several horses to drink at the same time in a big enough area, so multiple buckets or a big trough, rather than just one bucket for several horses. And then environmental. Now, the environmental elements could be things like music or visual novelty, things hanging from trees. Here I had a piece of purple material that's got little sparkly bits in it, and I've hung that from a tree outside of their area, so they haven't got to interact with it, they haven't got to walk straight past it if they are anxious, but it's just something different to look at. Different sensory textures. You can make, I've seen people make sensory boards where you have a piece of strong wood and you put things that are all different textures onto it. Maybe something rough like sandpaper, something soft like sheep's wool. Different fabrics work well. You don't want to get them wet, it's a bit grim. But that's quite a nice wet day indoor activity if they're all piled in the barn. Or if your horse is stabled, then sensory texture board is really nice. So there are two really important factors to consider when you're choosing an enrichment activity for your horse. One, which behaviour does it stimulate? So out of that wheel, what area are you looking at? And two, what level of difficulty does your horse need? So if they're not used to enrichment, start easy, scatter feeding or food hidden put in hay nets, forage nets, those kind of things. If your horse is very good at problem solving, maybe things like puzzle boxes. But do start low and work your way up rather than starting too high and having nowhere to go.
So here are a few little pictures of things we're talking about. Again, we go in a lot more detail in the Horseplay at Home course, and we talk about how to make the forage boxes and how to set these things up, how to create scent trails. But we've got Bonnie in the top left there with some gorse. Different times of year, use different branches. On the right, there's some social play going on. So we created branches and things, and we hid different things inside each pile, and the ponies had to dismantle them to find things. Bottom left is object play, so that's little Frankie is a yearling, and Sky with some object play toys. And then bottom right is a hanging forage toy, again with different forage in it. And in the centre there, that was just a bit of a forage walk. We went and collected lots of different things that we could use as part of our forage toys to hang around the field and the barn and the stables where they are. So now we've had a look at what the benefits of enrichment are, different types of enrichment, and you've got a few nice little examples to try with your own herd. If you're looking to develop your understanding further, so perhaps you're interested in knowing what's happening on a cellular level when we offer enrichment and how is this impacting on behaviour. Maybe you'd like to find out what level of enrichment your horse needs and how you'd know whether you've got it right or not. Or maybe you have a horse that's suffering from trauma or illness and injury, or you'd like to use enrichment to develop your horse's cognitive abilities and their well-being in terms of their agency. The Horseplay at Home Learning Hub is a comprehensive guide to all of these and many more areas. To give you an idea of how it all works, you would watch your video lesson. So these are on average about 15 minutes long, and they could be animation like this one, they could be an observational video of our herd out here, or they could be an activity to go and do with your horse. When you've watched it, you take your digitally interactive pocket guide out with you, and in here is a little breakdown of the lesson you've just done, your recording sheet, and on here you would type directly onto it and record your results. Then you go back in and reflect on what you've just seen. There are 3 steps to creating this evolved horse-human partnership. The first is to evaluate what's happening with your horses in your context at that moment in time, in terms of their motivation, their perception, and their communication. The second is putting things in place to address whatever you discovered in the first. So, this is where you would look at resolving behavioural issues, psychological issues, physical issues, and putting into practice what you've just learned. The third area is then, where do we go next? So, these reimagined horse human relationships, what are the possibilities that now lie ahead of you with the information that you have, and extending this relationship and the things that you do and enjoy together to a place that's mutually beneficial and develops the well-being of both you and your horse. To ensure that you continue to develop your understanding of equine behaviour, we have live monthly meetups. So these are a combination of Q&As to support you in your journey, but we also look at case studies, review recent research, have guest speakers, talk about training videos and analysis behavioural videos, all these different ways that we can build your understanding further beyond the content of the course. To join us in the Learning Hub community, I've put a link directly below this video. Just click on there, it's in the comments, it should be pinned to the top, and that will take you to the website and give you all the information you need to join us. Hopefully see you soon. Bye!